Hey, what's going on, guys? Milk here. Before we get started, if you can drop a like on the video and subscribe, that would be great. So let's get into it. To also add to this, I just wanted to say this is kind of more of a rant style video. So I do have this video playing in the background, but this is kind of more intended for you to just kind of set off and listen to. But if you want to see really mid House Flipper 2 gameplay, by all means, you can continue watching the video. So what kind of brought me to make this video was that I was out at a local grocery store and I was just checking out and I was watching this person just fumble with the self-checkout machine for about 5 minutes. And it was just kind of odd. It kind of just looked like some dude tweaking out, but they, dressed fine. So I just thought maybe something was happening until they ripped the glass panel off in front of this, I guess like the laser that scans your items. And then one of the workers came over and they asked him, kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? And the person basically said the car slipped under the glass. There was a little crack under there, and that they needed it back. And the worker within seconds just opened up the self-checkout machine and grabbed the customer's card. And when asked, like, why did you do this? The guy just goes, well, I didn't think you could help me with it. And it just brought me to, like the title of this video. Like, why don't people just ask questions? Like it's okay to ask questions as long as you're not being an asshole about it or you're doing something just, outright stupid. But this is something that's pretty much everywhere, like coworkers that might not know how to do something specific. And then they end up doing something wrong because they just didn't want to ask the question. Classmates who might not understand something or care to understand something on what to do, maybe for like a group project, and you end up fucking doing everything. Or just random people and random events throughout life. Now, is that just me kind of like dogging on people who don't want to ask questions? Of course not, because, I know some people have like social anxiety and they can't help it sometimes to bring themselves to ask questions. I used to be quiet as well, and I wouldn't really want to ask things or, talk about something. But that way of life really isn't sustainable or helpful to you at all. It doesn't take long before something happens in a sense where you get dicked over pretty hard. And you might be able to come back from it, or you might not be able to come back from it. But it does take time to get comfortable with doing that and asking questions. For me, I kind of started with the customer service job when I was younger, so it helped me out a lot, being able to interact with people. I know that some people try like calling local stores to ask them like easy questions, like, hey, do you carry like this ice cream, or something simple along those lines in order to get more used to talking to people. However, it is pretty important to know that eventually, if you don't, get out of that, I guess, quiet bubble, it will bite you at some point. I can't tell you how many times I've had seen or heard people get absolutely screwed on something because they didn't want to ask questions. They were uncomfortable asking the questions, or they simply thought they couldn't ask the question to begin with. I feel like one that you hear it all the time is people would like just get absolutely blasted when buying a new car. People spending like almost like $700-800 a month on a Toyota Camry, and they have like good credit too. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to question things that are directly affecting you. Like, why is it this price? Why is it this? And what is this interest rate you're giving me? Those people that don't want to speak up, they're the ones that you end up seeing on these threads online. Hey, I'm spending $800 a month for this car and I can't really keep up with it. They either have to give it back and possibly take a hit on their credit, or try to sell it to somebody else who they can screw over, and who also isn't comfortable standing up for themselves. Or, they end up trading it in and just getting absolutely screwed with another car payment that might just only be slightly less than the one they previously had. But again, back to the main point of the video. When I heard this guy saying that he didn't know he could ask, it just brought back like the two that I heard the most throughout college. And it was a little bit after COVID started. And that was with people who had their financial aid and tuition adjusted, and as well as talking to transfer advisors and recruiters. And the thing that got me the most with, I'll start with the first one, going over like, financial aid and tuition adjustment. And the thing that it wasn't just like a few $100s or something, which is still quite a lot. It was thousands and upon thousands of dollars. And I heard this one kid in one of my classes, he's like, yeah, my tuition went up by like almost 15K. They took away like this and that because of like whatever thing, like the guideline, whatever bullshit guideline the college decides to come up with. And at that point, I also had that happen to me. Not quite as much. but it went up by almost $10,000. I researched with my college and I found out that there's a board that you can appeal to. So I emailed them pretty much every day and called them every day asking them about the status of my appeal and if I could come in and talk about my tuition adjustment to get cleared. And I actually got that adjustment removed, and I also was able to get additional scholarships. When I asked my classmates kind of if they went through that process, they were just like dumbfounded. They're like, I didn't really think to do that. And then when I asked if they talked to anyone, they said no. Like, I mean, how are you supposed to know if you don't ask questions? You just kind of roll over and take the extra 15K out of your ass. Of course, a college isn't going to give a shit if you don't speak up. It's a business at the end of the day. A college is a business, and if a business charges you however much amount, like an extra 15K, and you pay it, like they're not gonna be like, oh man, we feel sorry for you. They're gonna be like, yeah, well, awesome, we just got an extra 15K. And now that kid's gonna have an extra 15K in tuition that he's gonna have to pay off, because he did take out a loan for it. And now is it guaranteed that it would have gotten removed? No, it's not guaranteed, but he has a pretty good chance. I've in my experience, if you complain enough, like it does end up working in your favor. Now, the other one that I listed off earlier was talking to recruiters/transfer advisors, specifically for college. There's things called transfer advisors, and they are must to talk to when deciding on going to colleges. If you're still deciding on what college to go to, what you want to do, talk to transfer advisors. It's their job specifically to answer all your questions and provide you with credit transferability of the courses you have taken thus far or will be taking. I can't tell you how many kids I know that didn't think they'd be able to go to college they wanted to from a community college, saving tens of thousands of dollars. Community college is also a chance to do better. I didn't really do that well in high school, but upon getting to my first 2 years of community college, I did great, having above a 3.7 at all times, and I was able to transfer to an extremely nice school with additional scholarships and essentially saved almost $100,000 just from simply asking, hey, if I go to this community college, can I transfer to your college? And they would be like, yeah, you can. A lot of people just kind of taking the brunt of it when you could go to community college and end up going to a very prestigious school or a nice school while saving so much money. And also in the future, for job applications, like 99% of the time, they're really not going to give a shit what college you went to, as long as you have experience and as long as you have the aptitude to learn. They really couldn't care less where you're going to end up going. Another one here I have is recruiters, specifically for career fair and for job applications. You guys probably know this, but recruiters are extremely extreme. I don't know if they're lazy, they just don't give a fuck, but you can reach out to someone and they'll like lead you on for so long and then they'll just stop talking to you and they'll stop replying to you. And you got to be the one to be reaching out continuously after maybe like a first phone interview, after a second interview, however many bullshit interview stages there are. You have to be reaching out, asking questions. How far along am I in the application? Am I still going to be getting another interview? I've had some pretty bad interviewing experiences that I think would have been alleviated if I asked more questions. Specifically, one I had with Honda for like a corporate position. I love Honda vehicles, worked on Honda vehicles for so long. Driven them all in racing games. I basically could list off like my favorite vehicles from them. And the recruiter really loved that, and I got an extra interview, and then just kind of got ghosted. And and I didn't really ask anyone until like a month later, where they said, "Oh, we were expecting, like if you called us back, you might have had a position. Sorry, we forgot to get back to you." Even though again, it's not really my fault or your fault. Recruiters just kind of do whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, I know this is kind of like a little jumbled mess, but it's just to kind of show a few aspects of things that you could be asking about, and you should be looking into. But the main overarching, I guess, idea of this is to ask questions. It's not going to be easy. It will get easier as you ask more questions and as you get more comfortable talking to people. But questions are an essential part of being able to kind of figure out what you need to do, how you need to do it, and how to save yourself from trouble, whether it could be like physical trouble or it could be financial troubles. You know, again, the people I've listed in the story who were screwed over on either cars or college payments because they just didn't think that they'd be able to just ask if they could just not fucking do that, or if there's another way to do it. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, hopefully maybe this will help some people out. Yeah, if you have any other video ideas, you know, leave them down in the comments. And yeah, peace.